cursing in the dorm. You know, they come on strong. I remember the first time I met, I hope I can say his name. If I can't, you can edit it.
Say his initials.
The first time I met DW.
Okay.
And I put the initials in my book.
Okay.
The first time I met DW, well, I had heard about DW.
Okay.
And I heard nothing but bad things about DW.
Okay.
So the first time I walk on a tier and I'm checking, you know, you open up a panel. I worked in the prison was built in 1918.
Okay.
And the projects was built in 1960.
Okay.
So that lets you know that it was intentional.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it was intentional.
Basically the same design, same
it was intentional
concept.
to house black people as if it was a prison.
Okay.
Yes. And, you know, and I see this name. I got this new person on the tier. I was working West Wing, third tier. And I seen DW. I said, oh, no. He's here.
What?
So DW sees me and says, hi, Antoinette.
He knew your name?
Yes.
Wow.
He said,
small world in the deal.
yeah. He said, how's Angie? Well, Angie, that's my best friend.
Ooh.
How does he know her? That's when I learned they know everything.
Right.
Do not think, I've never met DW a day in my life. He's older than me.
Right.
A lot older than me.
Right.
Never met him before that day.
Before that day.
But he knew me, my name, and who my best friend was.
Any of the characters in your book resemble or reflect DW?
No. No, I did put DW in my book, you know, in my nonfiction book. And that's my first nonfiction book.
Wow.
And I wrote that book after.
What was the name of that book again?
In a Nutshell.
I'm definitely got.
How prison cracked me open.
Today. I wish you had it with you. Right.
Well, I keep books in my trunk.
Right.
But I sell. Let me tell you what I do for you new authors out there.
Right, because that's another aspect of
I
writing
keep
a
books.
book.
Yeah, I keep them in my trunk. And I will go pull up at Marshall's. This is a true story. Okay. I pulled up, TJ Maxx in Towson. And I took some books out my car. And I went in and I started selling them. I walked up to black women. I said, hi, my name is Antoinette. I'm an author.
Okay.
And this is my book. And they bought them.
And they bought the book.
Yes.
Okay.
And I do it periodically. Because and I have given away free books.
Right.
To people standing on a bus stop. Just pull right up. Boom,
because if they like the book, they're going to refer the book to somebody else. Okay.
Exactly.
So you put those testers out there.
I put those testers out there. I like that. I like that. I put those testers out there so they can give me feedback.
Right.
And they can pass it on to someone else. And typically I do it like with this one. This is a part of a series. So this is For the Sake of Love, part 2.
Okay.
So part 1 is out. Wow. So I would give part 2 out and tell them it's a part 1. You can order it on Amazon.
Wow.
Or you can go to my website and order it off onefictionqueen.com. So do you think they're going to read this book? Not right away.
Right.
They're going to first want to see what
because
the first one
is.
Because
they want to see the beginning.
They want to follow it.
Read the beginning.
So that's one of the things that I do, trying to, get sales.
Okay. So look, you have written 12 books and a lot of other material. For the person out there who has never written a book, where do they start? How do they begin the process of even writing a book? What advice would you give them? Because a lot of writers have different, ways of doing things.
So I am I write off the top of my head. So if I get an idea, if something comes to me, it could be something on the news. It could have been something one of my friends are going through. So I think about it and then I sit in front of my computer. And that's what I would say. If you are a writer, write. If you are a typer, type. I am a typer.
Okay.
I type.
Gotcha.
I go to Word and I set up my paper
I'm
on
prehistoric,
Word.
so I'm still writing, but
I can,
yeah.
my fingers would crumple. Like I'm this. I don't have nails on because of, I type. So I would set up my paper on Word, and whatever I wanted the book to be, the size, I would set it up 8.5 by 5.5 on the computer, and set my margins up, and then I put my header on. I always make sure before I start that my cover is done. My cover guides me.
Gotcha.
When I start a book, I know the beginning and I know the end. The rest is the filler.
Right.
So I have to put that fill in. I already know how it's going to end. Wow. I know if it's going to be a cliffhanger.
Right.
So I know my beginning. I know my end. Now I have to come up with my filler. Gotcha. My paper is already set. I already got what I want my no spacing, 6 inches, whether I'm going to be 12 lettering or 14. I already know that. And then I start. And I let things come to me. But some people like to, I forget what it's called because I don't do it. They do an outline.
Outline, right.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, I never did an outline either. How important is it to be consistent? Because just like exercising or anything, once you start, stop. I always found writing, as long as I was consistent, did something every day or every other day. How is it important to be consistent?
Well, good for you. Because I'm not consistent. Even though I have 12 books, I take breaks because I'm not a planner. So my brain, like, I can sit in front of the computer and nothing will come. Nothing. And then I can sit down at 11 o'clock in the morning before I know it. And it's like, the time just flies. It's 7 o'clock in the morning. The sun came up. I didn't even know. But I've only typed 5 pages. And even though 5 pages is not a lot typing,
right.
Imagine you writing all right. that I have typed in 5 pages.
Right.
That's
20 pages.
That's
right.
20 pages for you. Right.
Exactly.
So it's really a lot.
Right.
And it's gotten me to, closer to my ending.
Mm-hmm.
So being consistent may work for some, but if your brain is not wired, you can't type. You can't write.
Right.
It has to come to you. Unless you're writing a nonfiction book. Now, writing in a nutshell,
mm-hmm.
that was easy.
Because you writing exactly, no imagination. You just throwing it right on canvas.
Everything. I just had to be careful that I didn't put people in it that could possibly knock on my door.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Other than that was my easiest book.
Right. Okay. Now, let's get into the publishing process. So now, once you have written your first draft, mm-hmm. where do you go from there as far as proofreading, editing, and stuff like that?
So for the first, we're in a new time now. So I started in 2010.
Okay. And
now we're in 2023 and everything has changed. There was no Grammarly. There was, you had to sit, you had to give it to an editor, or you had to read it 50 times to make
right.
sure,
right.
which never works.
Right.
You can read
right.
your own book 50 times
right.
and you will miss something.
So look, excuse me for cutting you off. My first book of poetry was in 87.
Wow.
So, right. So that it wasn't even on a computer, yeah. and half the book had errors. So I feel you, but go ahead.
So times have changed now where you have, you can pay an editor. They have Fiverr, you can get because getting a cover was just as hard as writing.
Right.
So now they have so many platforms that you can go to and you can get a cover. I have a plethora of friends on Facebook, and some of them have their own business where they do covers.
Wow.
And they good. Mm-hmm. They real good. And they're all African Americans.
Gotcha.
So, it's more today than it was offered to me back then. But published, I remember my first book. Okay, so it was Create Space back then.
Okay.
So I got this book. I was so excited. You know, all my books came in a box. They delivered them. I was so excited. And I went to this bookstore on Pratt Street, right across from Lexington Market.
Mm-hmm.
And they sold pictures, frames, and they sold books. So I just walked in and said, you know, I have this book, showed my book. And I will never forget what that man said to me. He said, nobody's going to buy this. Who are you?
And that's crazy, but go ahead.
He
That's
said,
a whole nother video.
Yeah. He said, look at all these authors I have up there. He had Enjoy and, you know, Rashonda Tate Billingsley. Like, he had some authors that I admired and read their books.
Right.
He said, and he threw my book on the counter. He said, nobody's going to read that.
Mm.
I left out of there. I was parked in Lexington Market garage. And I cried.
Wow.
I sat in my car and I cried.
That could have been a dream killer if you weren't as strong as you are. Right.
If I did not have people in my life that believed in me, so I went home and I cried. I didn't answer the phone. I actually took the phone off the hook. And the guy that I was seeing, he came over and he said, I've been calling you. And I told him what happened.
Wow.
And he spoke to me. He said, you got to let that die.
Right.
He said, you are Arthur. You wrote this. Don't let him kill you. And then my mother, she was looking for me. She was worried. And I told her what happened. I said, I just feel like I need to walk away from this. And my mother said something she's always said to me my whole life. If anybody can do it, you can. She has always said to me. I was selling snowballs on Pennsylvania Avenue, frozen cups. And I said, I want to make my own money. I want to sell frozen cups. This is a sidebar. We went downtown. She got real syrup, not Kool-Aid. Real syrup.
Real syrup.
She bought me cups.
Not the king syrup.
Not the king syrup.
Okay.
It was a paper company near University Hospital. It's gone now. She went and bought me paper cups, syrup, and sugar. And I had big cups. And I was making money. People was knocking on the door, and I was making money. Back then, people could knock on your door. You didn't have to worry about them, you know, breaking in and killing you. So, so she spoke, you know, what she said to me encouraged me and my friends. So I had this one girlfriend. I told her what happened. And she's my friend from the prison. And so she went to the bookstore and she said, do you have Let the Truth Be Told? And he said, no. She said, okay. So then she started calling. She didn't tell me. So she called the bookstore.
Right.
Do you have Let the Truth Be Told? No. So she getting people to call.
Right.
So now they like, we ain't got this lady book.
Right. Isn't that something? Right.
So my book eventually ended up in that store.
Right. Popular demand.
Yeah.
Right.
So those are the things that I had to do and there were lots of doors closed in my face.
Now, before we get to the part of selling the book, we definitely going to get there, because what's the use of putting this masterpiece out and you're not getting it out there to the public? But one step before then, how do you get it published? Do you self-publish it? Do you send it off to a publisher to pick it up? What was your process?
Okay, so my process was to self-publish. Because meaning I went on CreateSpace and I was my publisher. I uploaded my book and they printed it, because those doors were closed to me. They are closed to black women. They're closed to black men.
So when you do everything yourself, basically it's your business. You're just going to a printer to print out what you did, and you're doing the advertising, the selling.
Right. And back then, there was no Amazon. Right. So I ordered my book. So I ordered my books and I sold. Like out of my car, you know, I had book signings. I would cold call.
I went to a couple of those good book signings.
Yeah, I would cold call bookstores and ask them, can they carry my books? You know, because that's the only way I could get it out there. And it was a lady, I have to talk about Miss Ruth. It was a bookstore on Liberty Road. It was called A Quiet Place. I went to Heaven 600 and one of the marketing guys said, well, I know a lady, she owns a bookstore. You know, see if she'll carry your books. So I went there, had this big box in my hand. She didn't know me. And I said, hi, my name is Antoinette. And George told me that, you sell books and self-published authors. So she said, well, leave me a book. It was a poem book, poetry. And she said, well, leave me a book and I'll read it. And if it's good, I'll call you. I said, okay. Well, she called me. And she told me that I could have a book signing. She had food.
Wow.
She invited people. It was nothing that I expected. And then when I wrote other books, she would let me come up there. She would set a table out and let me sit at that table. I remember Mother's Day weekend. It was hot. Sun was beaming. And on a short sleeve shirt, I'm sitting at the table out there on Liberty Heights. From here down was dark because I got a tan. And she let me do that. She didn't charge me to do that. So those were the doors that were open. And so when I meet people who want to be authors, I'm giving to them. I give them what was given to me.
Well, they say whatever you put out into the universe, it comes back.
Mm-hmm. So I give. If someone wants, information, I give it to them. If they want my time, well, that's a different story.
Right, it's a different time. Time is definitely money.
Yeah, that's a whole different situation. But, I encourage people because they say that it's inundated with authors now. Ever since Amazon and the self-publishing is inundated with authors. And that's true. But one thing I noticed, you used to could go into Walmart and pick up a book by a Black author. Right. There was a whole bunch of books there. It's not anymore. It's here, there. Because there are other ways we can get our books out where we don't have to be pigeonholed, because those books that are in Walmart, they pay 5 cents for that book where you've already sold off. And so you're not getting anything anymore.
How do you go about marketing your book? Because I know that's very important in terms of sales.
Website. And I have a mentor. I'm not going to say I have a mentor that she poured into me. She did marketing for authors. And I met her on Facebook.
Oh, wow.
And she said to me, I didn't have a website at the time. Facebook is not your website. Anytime they want to take it down, you're gone. Instagram is not your website. Anytime they want to take it down, you're gone.
You have to get your own.
Have a website.
Right.
And I've had a website since 2012. I had someone build me a website. But now getting a website is like that. You just have to pay. And my website, by the way, is onefictionqueen.com. If you were wondering why this was here, onefictionqueen.com. That's my name. The Fiction Queen. It's only one. The Fiction Queen.
So, Cracking the Nutshell, you said it was?
It's in a nutshell.
In a nutshell. So, in a nutshell, have you ran across any correctional officers or convicts? I've worked in the jail, so we always say inmates, but you worked in the prison system, so that's convicts.
Right. Mm-hmm.
It is a difference, trust me. And they will let you know that it's a difference. So, have you ran across any of them?
I haven't. Now, I did have someone who knows officers, and he bought like 20 books.
Oh, wow. That's nice.
To give to the officers. So I did hear some feedback. I know one particular, he was a officer, a sergeant, a lieutenant. He's now assistant warden.
Okay.
So he might be a little upset.
Right.
He might be a little upset at the book.
So is the book, is it educational? Is it inspiring? Is it cautionary? What would you say it is?
It's about my life as a correctional officer.
So it's all of that.
Yeah. It's about my life, my relationships, how I was treated by the females in the prison, how I was treated by the males in the prison. When I worked the night shift when I came in.
Gotcha.
So I worked 12 to 8, and I talked about this in the book. And how it didn't dawn on me until I started writing this book what actually happened to me. So I come in a rookie, and I'm working a night shift, so everybody's trying to stay woke. And I'm sitting in a tower.
That's 11 to 7.
12 to 8.
Oh, 12 to 8 with you all.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
And I'm working in a tower I worked the wings a lot. You know, rookies, they work you on the
Right.
wings. And so, you know, you got phones. Everybody has a phone. So I would get calls from guys,
Okay.
officers. But this one particular officer, he did not let up.
Wow.
I lied to him and told him I was married because I wanted to get everybody off of me.
So he was a stalker?
I didn't realize it then.
Okay.
But yes. And he was married.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. So he and I ended up having a relationship.
Okay, so the stalking paid off.
It paid off for him. So I was
Okay.
dating a married man. Do not judge me.
Do not judge.
It was my first.
Exactly. Right.
And my last. So
Right. And we learn from our experience.
yeah. So I was, 24. I think he was 25.
Okay.
And he was fine. Jesus. He was tall and so handsome.
Okay.
He wore me down.
Got you.
He called me every single day, and every single night. And so a relationship happened. And after about 6 months, a new group of officers came in.
Wow.
So that meant I took a back seat.
Wow.
So I put this in a book.
He put you on the bench?
He put me on the bench.
My
See, once that new blood come
Man
in,
coaching, man.
he went for a new officer.
Okay.
And so the officers were pitching us against each other, the male officers. They were pitching the new female officers against each other so they could keep us separate, separate so
Right.
you can conquer.
Okay.
So it's one particular female officer, and I put it in the book. She and I didn't like each other, and I didn't know why.
Right.
So, woman's intuition. I said, let me make her my friend.
Okay.
So I called her on her post, and I said, hi, this is Officer Davis. I said, for some reason, the word is you and I don't like each other. And I don't know. She said, I heard the same thing. Officer H told me you didn't like me.
Wow.
I said, he did? Because Officer H told me you didn't like me. She said, well, let me tell you something, Davis.
It's Romeo the stalker that's doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So she said, well, I got a secret. Let me tell you. Don't tell nobody. Me and Officer H been seeing each other. So not only is he cheating on his wife,
He cheating on his girlfriend.
He cheating on me and her with me. So a fight ensued with me involved.
Okay.
Not with her, with Officer H.
Oh, you're on Officer A. Romeo
H.
went at it.
Me, Officer H.
Oh, wow.
We got into a fight in the prison.
Wow.
The inmates was watching.
Wow.
And
So who broke it up? It just...
I hit him with a chair.
Oh, gotcha.
And once it was at night, it was like 2:00 in the morning.
Okay.
And I went to his post. I left my post and went to his post.
Okay.
This is all in the book. It's juicy too.
Right.
And so I don't think I better give much more.
Don't
I see you getting salivating.
Yeah. I'm sitting back, you see my necktie coming loose. I done forgot all about the pizza over there and everything.
That's it. That's all I'm going to say. A fight happened. And that's where I'm going to leave it.
In a nutshell.
How prison cracked me open.
How prison cracked Antoinette Davis open. Can't wait to read it. In fact, if you do not have a copy in your trunk, I'm definitely going to order it online because I'm all about that nonfiction. What was one of your most memorable experiences at the prison system? House of Corrections. Oh, before you go there, were you there when McGuinn got killed?
No, I was gone.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gone.